This video today is just for the Mac users because today we are comparing Logic Pro and GarageBand. And these two softwares are only available on Macs. So if you want to use Cubase, Ableton, Fruity Loops, get the out. Hi, I'm Adam from AM Music and I teach music production and mix and master music. So we're going to look at the similarities, look at the differences, and that should help you make an informed decision about which software is right for you. So let's just jump straight in. Okay, so first let's take a look at the similarities between GarageBand and Logic Pro. And I have GarageBand open currently. And as you can tell, if I flick to Logic Pro, they look really similar. They look almost the same, but you should notice that Logic Pro has so many more features, so many more additional tools compared to GarageBand here, which has less of these tools kind of thing, but it still looks the same, which is helpful because if you start out with GarageBand and then you move on to Logic Pro, it looks familiar and the workflow is very similar. You've got the record buttons up here, a lot of the shortcuts are the same. So yeah, it all looks very familiar. The next similarity is that actually they perform in very similar ways. So what's included, such as the sounds in the library, the samples in the loops, are all very similar, and the stock effects, they both share the same ones. So for instance, the library here in GarageBand, if I come over to the start, you can see you've got all these different types of instruments that you can just add something in. And that's very similar to how Logic does it. So close that. I want the library, and you see same things, bass, drum kit, orchestral, so very similar. And the same with the loop browser as well. So if I go to the loops, you'll notice a lot of these all very similar. There's 25,000 items there. And the loops browser here in GarageBand, actually a few more items. That's interesting. So your two ways of generating sounds in GarageBand, which is from the library or from the loops, are pretty much the same as Logic Pro's, though there are some differences which we'll come to a bit later on. And one other main similarity is that they both share some advanced features like the AI session drummer. So if I go to create a new track, drummer, this creates a drummer that will drum along to your track, and it uses AI to kind of match the tempo, match the mood, and it's very interactive. You can kind of just change the groove around by moving this. And this is also a feature of Logic Pro as well. So if I go to drummer, there you go, you've got the same thing, it's just a bit more advanced. So as you can see, there really are some similarities between Logic Pro and GarageBand. And whilst on the surface it looks very similar and GarageBand is extremely capable, there are some differences. And that major one is that Logic Pro just goes a lot deeper in all of these aspects. So one thing missing for me is in Logic Pro you've got a nice mixer, and this isn't particularly full up right now, but you've got a whole mixer window where you can add your effects, change the levels, and it makes mixing your track a lot easier. And that is one of Logic Pro's strengths, is that you can use it for creating music, you can use it for mixing, you can use it for mastering. Come to GarageBand and there isn't actually a mixer window. In terms of mixing for GarageBand, you've got the track here and you can add plugins. So there are the same ones in Logic Pro, though there are a few of the newer ones missing, like Chroma Glow, which is a distortion plugin. And then if you come over to the master here, you can add effects on the master channel, and you've got some kind of presets that you can use here. Whereas if you compare that to Logic Pro, you've got the whole mixer window and you can add things on the master channel here. You can add things extra like Chroma Glow, and you'll notice there are still a few more effects that aren't available in GarageBand. And one big thing as well in Logic Pro is you have the Mastering Assistant now, which is an AI mastering tool, and GarageBand doesn't have that, and this will get your track ready for distribution. The next major difference for me is that GarageBand is mainly made up of presets, so you can't customize the sounds as much as you can in Logic Pro. So if I wanted to find a sound that was a synth sound, for instance, come over here, go to synthesizer, let's go for some EDM bass, and I can choose the sound, but I can't then go into the source material. I can't then go into Alchemy. I can't click in here and change all of the parameters that you can in Logic Pro. You do have a few that you can change here, like the cutoff, and you can change some of these controls. It's a lot more limited compared to what you have in Logic Pro. So if I did the same thing, I can go into Software Instrument in Logic, instrument, I can add alchemy, which you can't do in the same way. You can only use the presets in GarageBand. And now I've got all of this control. Like I can open up a preset and then I can go into the advanced features here. And this is the same with all the synths. All of Logic's stock plugins, you can go into them and really customize them and make any sound you want. So you can't really do sound design in GarageBand. You are reliant on what is already in here and in the loop library. And that may not be a problem for you if you are more a singer, songwriter, demo producer, or someone who's just getting started. There's still more than enough in GarageBand to get you going and to get you writing good music. And one huge difference is that GarageBand is free. You just download it from the App Store, and that is incredible because it is a really good piece of software that is free. It crushes a lot of other software out there. So if you're just getting started, I think it's a no-brainer to download GarageBand, have a play around, see how you get on with it. And if you find like you're lacking and need a bit more, then you could purchase Logic. I think Logic Pro is £200 or $200. So, but that is for life. Whereas compared to Ableton, the full package is about £600, which is a lot in my opinion. And if they do an update, which they do maybe every couple of years from 11 to 12 to 13, then you are going to have to pay for an upgrade. But Logic has had free upgrades for as long as I can remember. But GarageBand being free, that is amazing. So GarageBand lacks other features such as the audio editor. So if I bring in a loop, let's say of audio, and I can't really edit this too much. If I double click on it to bring up the editor, all I can really do, reverse the playback, which if you want to reverse stuff, very cool. Add a bit of pitch correction. You can transpose it up an octave or down an octave, which is nice and easy to do in the interface. And you do have flex time, which is a very cool feature of Logic Pro. It allows you to put stuff in time. You can see this beat is starting a little bit later than the beat, so I can move that back and move things around. Now these features don't have as much depth, as much detail as they do in Logic Pro, but they are there, and this is a pretty cool one. So if you record in some guitar, record in some vocals, and it's not quite in time, then you can change this. So one other big difference as well is that when you come to finishing your track and you want to export it, share it with your friends, your family, put it out online, then you are limited with what you can do there. You can do WAVs, which are uncompressed and higher quality if you go export song to disk, and you can do AAC, MP3, AIFF, and WAV, or WAV, but you are limited here to it being 44.1 kilohertz, the sampling rate. That might not be a problem for most people, but if you're doing music for picture, then it does need to be 48 kilohertz. So that is a drawback there. Whereas with Logic Pro, if I want to bounce it, export it, you get a few more options. You can choose kind of the sample rate all the way up to 192 kilohertz. And you've just got a few more options: WAV, AIF, CAF, MP3, you can choose the rate. There's just a bit more you can do. But this probably won't be an issue if you just want to get your demo out there, you just want to share it with your friends, then no problems. Another thing you're missing is all these other tools, like you have marquee tools, you have all of these additional things that you can do in Logic Pro. You've got the flex time, which includes stuff like flex pitch that you can use. So GarageBand only has one algorithm. It doesn't have the flex pitch, which is quite handy. And in Logic Pro, there are multiple algorithms for editing the audio with flex in different ways, which GarageBand also doesn't have. And the big thing for me is the piano roll has a lot less features. So this is where you can edit your MIDI. So you can draw in notes, let's say, but then there aren't too many other additional controls that you can do. You can control the velocity, which is helpful for getting some more humanized feel to it. You can quantize it, but apart from that, you don't have all these additional features that Logic Pro has. So for instance, if I go to MIDI here, so if I put something in, you can see that I've got a lot more options here to, mix things up a little bit. I quite like all the functions. You've got these MIDI transforms, and this can do things like humanize it, make it sound more uniform, reversing the pitch, transposing, adding velocity limiters and random pitch, random velocity. There's a lot more controls that you can do. You can go a lot more in depth with the editing in Logic Pro than you can in GarageBand. So in summary, GarageBand is really just a stripped back version of Logic Pro. It's great if you're just starting to learn music production. It's great for demo producers, for singer-songwriters that just want to get their ideas down. So for any newcomers to recording music and producing music, then I think GarageBand is a no-brainer when it is free. It's perfect for getting started, and then if you feel like you need more tools, say you want to explore sound design, you want to get into mixing, get into mastering, then would be the time to get Logic Pro. And if you've already worked with GarageBand, then switching over to Logic Pro will be super easy. You just get more features, more in-depth editing. It's just generally a more complete program. And if you ask me, at £200, €200, $200, wherever you're at, it is a steal, especially if you compare it to Ableton, which is about £600. And once you've paid for Logic, you don't have to pay for updates, unlike Ableton. This isn't me slagging off Ableton. It's a great software. I also use it for other things like live performance. But full disclosure, Logic Pro is my favorite software I've used, and I have tried most of them. So hopefully this helped you decide whether Logic Pro is for you or GarageBand is for you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you are new to Logic Pro, then I have a video just for you here. See you later. Thanks for watching.